Appreciate you guys having me. It's an honor to be here. Um, Fun story. So I have no coaching experience, so they brought me in to teach you guys how to coach. Is what they told me. So, but I want to come at this through a lens as a player. Um, One, that's all I know, but I think it gives you really good perspective on what we are thinking, what we're going through. I'm sure many of you were players, but now on the other side of it, what really stands out, what really makes a difference, right? So, um, fast forward, I'm going to kind of tell this story through the lens of my story and how I came to Christ in my soccer story and how it relates to competition or competing. Um, so clearly won this tackle, went on to score a worldie. Um, Lost the video to prove it, so you'll just have to take my word for it. Fun story. You'll get a kick out of this. My Clint Dempsey story, and then I'll dive in. We were playing, actually, probably a year to the day before this picture was taken. I was playing for Toronto at the time. We're playing in Seattle, and my wife, growing up in New England, loved Clint Dempsey. It's like, hey, after the game, swap jerseys, right? I was like, okay, I like Clint Dempsey. Like, he's been great for the U.S. game. Love him. Halfway through the first half, ball gets played over top. I'm running alongside him. I don't know. They call a foul. Whistle blows. Everyone stops. He turns around and just punches me right in the privates. So I drop. And then my wife has the audacity to ask at the end of the game, hey, did you get his jersey? And I said, no, I did not. Did not ask him for his jersey. I lost a little bit of respect for him. And then I tell that to say, like, how I influence the youth is, one day if you work really hard, you too can get punched in the privates on national television. So never fails. But kind of moving back through my story and how it relates to competition and the mindset to compete. So I grew up in Marietta, Georgia. I went to Lassiter High School. My soccer story, um, my my high school story is all about soccer. My identity in soccer as a player, kind of like what Ryan was talking about, right? My sole goal was to go play in college. So what I did do is I had a plan. I worked as hard as possible. I did what no one else was willing to do. Every single day, I got 2,000 touches on the ball. I made sure I was playing 3v3 with my friends. Anytime I could touch a soccer ball, I was out there playing, right? Wind, rain, cold, whatever, I was playing. But I was really small in high school. So I did not get recruited to D1 schools. I ended up playing soccer at Berry College. NAIA school at the time in Rome, Georgia. Good program, but not my dream, right? But it's what I had. I kept playing, kept preparing every single day, putting in the same amount of work. And it wasn't the work that got me to good enough for the situation I was currently in. It was the type of work, this mindset that I'm going to compete at a level of where I want to be, not where I currently am, right? So God calls us to be a good steward of where we are, right? And that's not doing the job. It's not doing enough. It's not getting by, right? Just because they don't pay you what you want to be paid for what you're doing doesn't mean that that's what you're called to do, right? And if that's what you do, that's probably where you're going to stay, right? You're going to stay at the job at the level that you're playing, coaching, whatever. So in between my junior and senior year of college, I've been playing PDL throughout the summers, and I was playing in Atlanta with the Atlanta Silverbacks. That team disbanded, and so I was really stuck in terms of where I was going to play the summer between my junior and senior year, because obviously that was a big year for me. I went to Chicago because I tried out for Chicago, obviously because they had a direct line to Chicago Fires, like stepping stone, right? A buddy of mine, Ben Page, who also played for the Eagles, he told me about this team in Southern California called the Seahorses, Christian team, and I wanted nothing to do with it. To Ryan's point, Christians don't know how to play soccer. They're not that good. It is exactly what he said, that mindset of I don't know what this is, but it was my only option. So, as God would have it, that was my only option. That's where I went. And mind you, I did not really know or have a personal relationship with Jesus at this time. So I go there, and first practice, everything's different. The coaching staff, the players, they come talk to me. They're interested in my life. They're welcoming. And after practice, not only that, they were good. Players from UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, all the D1 schools. So immediately I was proven wrong. And then afterwards, sat around, guy opened up the Bible, started telling Bible story. And that moment was when I realized this is what I was missing. I was competing. I was trying to live out my dream as a soccer player, my lifestyle was not reflective of a good Christian man before knowing Christ, right? So I always felt, to Ryan's point, empty and unsatisfied, which there comes an internal drive to constantly do more and be more and strive for more. So like it's not a bad thing, but there's nothing behind it. So that summer is where I started opening up the Bible for myself, developed a personal relationship with Christ, and gave my life to the Lord. And I came back to college a different person, right? It took a lot of sacrifice. I sacrificed a lot of friends, broke up with my girlfriend, but it did not do what I thought it was going to do, which was make me a worse soccer player. It actually gave me a purpose, gave me a reason, a why behind what I was doing and why I was competing. So Colossians 3:23-24, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. And that became the new motivation, right? And so through that, played my senior year, did really well. Again, in AI school, you're not getting recruited. You're not going to the combine. So pay to play combines. I finally get to AC St. Louis, like Mark said. Start every game, play well, but no chance at the MLS. So again, I was in a space where it wasn't the level that I wanted to be at, but every single day I approached training like I was playing in the MLS, right? So I then go to Charlotte Eagles for 2 years, and that's where my faith really took the next step. So if I'm being honest with myself, I had given my life to Christ, but I had compartmentalized my life. I hadn't given the soccer slice to God. I was still trying to maintain control and do what I could to develop that aspect because I didn't quite trust him. So I think it was year 1 or 2 with the Eagles. I basically said, okay, basically my soccer career is over. I'm going to go become a missionary in Africa somewhere because I'm now giving soccer to God. Once I did that, it was about 6 months I was in the MLS. Not because anything I did, but because I relinquished control of what I was doing. I maintained that preparation. I maintained that effort, that hard work, that attitude. But I couldn't control the outcome. right? So I released it to God, and it got me to, I signed with Toronto FC, um, played there for a couple of years, then got to Atlanta United, where I ended up retiring in 2018. Um, when I got to Toronto, I had been playing. I don't think I'd ever sat the bench in my entire life, right? So I got to Toronto, and the first game I was on the bench, didn't play. Second game I was in the stands. Third game in the stands. Uh, Fourth game didn't travel. Um, so I was like, why'd they bring me in? I thought he'd come in and play right away. And it was this moment for me where I said, again, I made it, quote unquote, but I wasn't playing. It was like, and the attitude from a lot of those players that aren't playing, because when they go on the road, you're training. You got 7 guys that are just busting their butt training. And most of the guys, they come with an attitude. They're pissed off. They don't want to be there. They're just mad that that guy went and he didn't go. And then I had a decision to make. I basically said, I'm at well, at the time, it wasn't one of the best teams in the MLS, but some of the best facilities I've ever seen, some of the best coaches I've ever had, except for Mark, um, some of the best gear I've ever had, everything was there for you. The chef making you breakfast, lunch, everything. So I was like, I may only be here for a month, but I'm going to utilize every inch of this space and the facility and get everything out of these coaches that I possibly can. So my mindset was still on what could be, what's next, not exactly where I was in the moment. And then I think it was about 3 months of that, right? So a lot of people want to work hard and compete and prepare and do everything for a week, and then they expect the result, right? And it's like, well, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. Like, that didn't work. But I kept doing it. I was consistent. I was persistent. I wouldn't stop. And finally, we went on a road trip to New York. We're playing the Red Bulls. And at the time, they had a development league where like the non-starters could play the day after. So we got some game time. So the whole team went. And so I was like, I'm going just because the whole team's going. But I felt cool because I was actually traveling with the team finally, you know. And 2 hours before the game, they pop up PowerPoint and kind of like flash the starting lineup. I see my big dumb face right there because like my picture didn't match anybody else's because I was brand new and all that. So I was starting at outside back, New York Red Bulls. The coaches didn't say a word to me. Um, I found out with the rest of the team that I was starting, and so it went through this constant like I was like, oh, I was anxious, I was worried, I was praying, I was excited, nervous, all these emotions going through my head. It's going to be my first MLS game, could be my last MLS game, right? Not only that, we're playing against Thierry Henry, and I'm guarding him the entire game. So good luck. But the reason I say that is, as soon as the whistle blew, I played the game. It's the same game, right, that I've been playing my entire life. I had been preparing for this moment. I was ready, right? And so when the whistle blew, I just knew what to do. I didn't have to think. I just did it, right? And I was successful. So why I say that is, in that moment, I earned the right to compete. I think a lot of us show up expecting to compete, but not wanting to put in the preparation to do so. Golf, great example. love playing golf. I get pissed off when I hit a bad shot. After the round, what am I doing? I've never practiced a single day in my life. I play once every 2 months, yet I expect to show up and be able to compete and hit great shot after great shot after great shot, right? Anybody can show up and try to compete, right? But to me, competing is not the competition itself. Whatever's leading up, like, right, the game, whatever it is that you're preparing for, the competition or is the preparation. Every single day, every single deposit that you're putting in daily, that's what's giving you the right to actually compete. And there's this dichotomy between sports and Christianity of what does the world say, like Ryan said, about what does it mean to compete, right? Gain or win something by defeating or establishing superiority over others, right? Did you win or lose? It's all that matters, right? Nobody cares. A lot of people don't even care how they win. They don't care how they scored a goal. They just want their score to be higher than the other team's score at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. That's where they get their satisfaction, right? But why is it that every single successful athlete that doesn't know Christ, why do they say, what's the best championship? What do they say? The next one. Why? Immediately. It's empty, right? Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. To me, that speaks to what I was saying before, where you don't show up to compete. Anybody can show up and try hard on that day, but to expect to come out and win, to do anything significant, is stupid. You can't do it, right? So understanding that, I think this is huge. Understanding God's provision in your life. The gifts that you've been given are not to go to waste. You may not be as good of a coach as the next person, but you can be the greatest coach that you can potentially be, right? Showing up every single day, preparing for practice every single day, showing up, getting in the Word, making sure that you're redefining or defining your identity, like Ryan said, in Christ, who you are. How do you want, not what do you want to do? Everyone wants to win, right? How do you want to win? How do you want to be remembered, right? Striving from glory, not towards glory. The Spirit himself testifies, did you read this? With our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ. If indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. Coming from a place, understanding your own identity, who God calls you to be, you're living, you're coaching, your words are coming from glory. So we're not striving towards glory, right? Striving towards glory is assuming that we're not good enough and we have to earn our way, right? But living from glory, understanding that God is with us, God's already defined who we are. We start to believe it, that's what comes out of us, right? So if you're going to make a mistake, you make a mistake, you recognize it's a simple mindset switch. That's not who I am. This is who I am, right? So you're living from this place of glory. And then, now it works, but it goes backwards. Once you take care of yourself, you can take care of your team, right? What do they tell you on an airplane? Oxygen mask comes down, Who do you put on first? Why? If you're dead, not very helpful, right? But you as coaches, and what I've experienced in my life is you have some of the greatest influence, whether you like it or not. The fact that you step on the field and you have a group of kids, however old, you're an influence in their life. Your choice, good or bad influence, right? It's a big deal. I have 3 daughters. They all play soccer. They all have coaches. None of their coaches played in the MLS. Who do they listen to? Not me. Sometimes when I'm playing against them, I got to show them what's up. But what you do, what you say, how you do it, you influence the culture of your team, right? You influence the lives of your players. One of the greatest things that you can do is to call out greatness in others, right? One of the best coaches I had as a kid, it was an ODP coach. And I was a young player in the group. They did my birth year. I was November 25th. So I was always playing against kind of the older kids. And he called me, and it was for the end of year tournament, the regional tournament, right? So he got to the region team, the national team, what have you. And he called me, and I was expecting him to say, "I'm sorry you didn't make it." He said, "You made it." And I was kind of shocked. He's like, "Why are you surprised? You've been playing well all year. You've earned this. You deserve this." And like that little moment right there, just calling that out to me was a huge deal, right? Um, the influence stems from excellence. So I would guess you would all say that you want to be a positive or good influence on your players, right? Probably. Hopefully, that's why you're here. Um, being excellent in your craft puts you in a position of influence, not only with your players, but with your parents, the rest of the world, right? They see you as excellent. They respect what you're doing. One thing I learned in the Toronto locker room was those players didn't care how you lived or what you said until you proved yourself on the field, right? Once they saw what you were doing, how you were doing it, then they wanted to know, what's the background? Why are you doing this, right? So your testimony is not always verbally saying, believe in the Lord, right? It's how you live, how you act. As coaches, I think some of the greatest examples, Jorge stole my thunder, appreciate it, but Mark Steffens, he got a little heated on the sideline, said a word or two to the ref. One time. After the game, you just watch him. He goes over to the ref. He apologizes. He comes to the team. He apologizes. I mean, that was huge to see that from the coach, right? You don't have to be perfect. Can't be perfect. You won't be. But those little things that you do, those kids are picking up on every little thing that you do and say, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can apologize. You can come back and say, "Hey, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to say that. I shouldn't have done. It could be better," right? So you're shaping these kids and their lives through your relationship with Jesus, right? So I just wanted to encourage you that as a parent, what you do is not menial in any way. No matter what level you coach, what you're doing, I want to encourage you to be excellent in your craft, no matter where you are, even if you're not coaching at the level you think you should be coaching at. But I want to challenge you too. Are you doing enough? Right? Are you doing enough research on your own? Are you planning ahead of time for your practices? Are you planning ahead of the season? Right? So with that, I would just want to conclude, and if I can, pray for you guys. God, thank you so much for this time and for these men and women here. I pray that you would bless their ministries, bless their lives, that they would look to you and be encouraged, and that you would watch over us. Amen. I appreciate it.